Hello, I'm Uriah, and I've been at Pilgrim since the third grade. The people that have really affected me, my spiritual growth, and me the most are my parents and my teachers. They taught me about the Bible and Jesus and took me to church. My parents are also the ones who sent me to Pilgrim, and Pilgrim is where I met most of my friends. My friends have influenced me significantly in my life. At this point, I think they are what define me as a person. My teachers have also had a huge impact on my life. Mrs. Tai inspired my love for reading. Mrs. Cardo prepared me for lit circles and larger homework loads. Her Christmas parties were also the bomb. Thank you, Mrs. Robbie, for being willing to tutor me and letting me redo tests and assignments. Mrs. Andreen taught me how to write an essay, how to analyze text, and a ton of literary tools. Thank you for always explaining the topic twice for me. Thank you to Senor Andres, aka Mr. Yerk, aka Bill Nye, for every ELA, Spanish, science, music, PE, drama, pop culture, and life lesson. Respect points for you. Thank you, Mrs. Stewart, or as I know her, Suzanne, for making all of your art lessons interesting and fun, and for sticking with me to the end. You the real OG. I'm a Christian, and I always have been. Because I was told to believe in Jesus at a very young age, it felt like a simple fact that he exists, and not something that I could debate. Because of this, it was difficult for me to define my relationship with Jesus and how I felt about being Christian. But I decided that I will continue to believe in God for several reasons. Number one, I like the idea of having someone watching over me and protecting me. Number two, it's good for your mental health. When you pray, you can reflect on your emotions and actions and ask for help or be thankful. For me, it's reassuring. And number three, the Bible is like a guide and a great set of rules to live by. I also believe that serving others and helping those in need will make you happier. My family is big on service and tithing, and so is Pilgrim, which is why you'll be happier at Pilgrim. I feel like going to Pilgrim was good for me faith-wise, but it was also very enjoyable as well, and I will miss everyone. Shout out 8th grade, shout out Costa, shout out 7th grade, shout out Matthew, shout out Mr. Camilla, shout out Pilgrim fam. That's right, everyone, stand up, link arms. You can do anything, you can be anyone you want. Together we are strong. One nation, under God, indivisible. My time is up. P out.
Wait a minute. Hey. Okay. It may be my first year here, but I have already grown so much as a person. I would like to thank my parents for paying for my attendance and my sister for walking me through the most complex parts of my life. I would also like to thank my best friend Hannah for always being there for me and for Clover for showing me infinite kindness and love. Thank you, Miss Andreen, for truly caring about me and helping me. And thank you for Miss Stewart for all the help. I would not have made it without you. And thank you to all my other teachers too. I would like to acknowledge my kindergarten buddy, Rosie, for being the best buddy I could ever ask for. I have grown in so many ways as a person, as a student, and as a friend, and I have learned a lot about God and the Bible. Before Pilgrim, I had many misunderstandings about God, and I have learned so much, and I'm so thankful for Pastor Christian. This school has made me think about how a small thing can impact others greatly, and I think of how I can help other people in need, and I often feel trapped, and this school has brought me out of my shell. I came to Pilgrim for help, and they welcomed me with open arms, and I wish to pass that on someday. I truly believe this school is one of the best to grow up in, and I'm truly grateful I could be here even if it was only for 1 year.
Hi, my name is Ellery. I transferred here at Pilgrim in the middle of 6th grade with my sister Evelyn during COVID. It was hard transferring from being online to in person, but I eventually got the hang of it. I'd like to thank all of the teachers I've had, my coaches, and my family. My teachers have helped me grow both academically and spiritually. I've learned how to write better essays with the help of Ms. Cardo and Mrs. Andreen, and grown in math. Mrs. Robbie has taught me basically everything I know in math. And Mr. Yerrick has taught me how to have real conversations in Spanish. My parents and sister have always shown up to my sports events and pushed me to do my best in school. My coaches have also supported me and helped me to achieve the best I could. One of the opportunities I am very grateful here is the service hours. I enjoy going to the Friendship Center, which is a food pantry, after school with my sister. when we aren't too busy. We sort and organize items there, and it's a fun way to help out. Overall, Pilgrim has shaped me into the person I am today, and I'm forever grateful for the time I've had here.
My time here at Pilgrim has been a very positive experience. Since coming to Pilgrim in 2015, I have learned a lot about the world and other people. I thank all of my friends, family, and teachers for their support. Pilgrim has taught me how to function well in a challenging environment and how to be a better person even when I really don't feel like I can. I've also learned a lot about Christianity and how to help people who need it most. All of my teachers have cared for me so much. Mrs. Robbie has taught me about service and has been a great math teacher, especially when she brings brownies. Mrs. Andreen has taught me so much about ELA and has helped me a lot in my projects, like the end of the year essay. Mr. Urich has pushed me to improve on all my assignments and projects, especially in Spanish. Mr. Emery and Mrs. Calderon have both been great to talk to every day when I do my daily jobs. Some of my best Pilgrim memories have been made in the last few years. Going to Chinatown, Mrs. Cardo, and Navy Pier are Pilgrim events I've really enjoyed. Even though I only have art once per week, Mrs. Stewart has taught me so much about art and is such a kind person every day. I felt welcomed and cared for here. I hope that everyone else has too. Thank you to all my teachers, peers, and parents, and I wish everyone the best next year.
I've been a Pilgrim for 6 years, since 3rd grade. The first teacher I encountered at Pilgrim was Mrs. Gates. Mrs. Gates introduced me to the new system I would be learning in, and most of the basics that I needed to know before moving on to the more difficult learning were taught by her. Then I moved upstairs where I met Mrs. Ty. She taught me ELA in a way that helped me work well, and also started me off with a bit of poetry to get me ready for Mrs. Cardo. I had Mrs. Ty for 2 years. Then was Mrs. Cardo. She was the first teacher to give us Shakespeare, and we started off with the classic Romeo and Juliet. When I went into 7th grade, a lot of things changed. Our homeroom teacher was Mrs. Robbie, which at the time was a new thing at Pilgrim. Our ELA teacher would be Mrs. Andreen, and the next year she would also be our new homeroom teacher. Our science teacher for the last 2 years would be Mr. Urich. He was also taught us Spanish in 3rd grade. We even had him as an ELA teacher in 3rd grade. The way he teaches helps me understand what we're learning, and he can sometimes make learning fun. Mrs. Andreen is our last teacher, who we still have now, and she's prepared us for high school. One of the main topics we've gone over with Mrs. Andreen is poetry. Even if I don't like it, and I don't, it's still a useful thing to know about, and I've learned a lot. Mrs. Robbie has been my math teacher for the past 5 years now, but I think it was more fun when we did science with her. We generally did activities, and in one of them we built suspension bridges. In high school, you needed to do an art like band, theater, choir, etc. I wanted to do band, so I decided to do band at Pilgrim. I did beginner and intermediate clarinet, but not advanced. Instead, I continued my learning from my private teacher, Jordan, who now plays for the U.S. military band. Suzanne, or Miss Stewart, is one of my favorite teachers at Pilgrim. Learning art with her is fun, and she was my homeroom teacher in 1st and 2nd grade before I came to Pilgrim. I want to thank Big Pun, who I've been doing chess team with since 3rd grade. I also want to thank the new chess coach, who's an international master of chess. I have lots of fun learning with my coaches every week. Overall, I think I'm ready for high school after all I've learned, and my years at Pilgrim have been worth the time I spent getting to this point. There's also one more person who has helped me finish my time at Pilgrim. Although he's retired from his job, Principal Camilla is the principal I know for the longest. He was very kind, and from a student's perspective, I think he did a fantastic job. My classmates have also helped too. Sometimes I just don't know what to do, so I ask a classmate. Maybe I'm not sure how to do something, or I just need another opinion to decide if I want to do one thing or another. It's also fun to just talk about something and then get back to doing some work. After these 6 years that I spent learning at Pilgrim, I've gone to the new IB program at Sun High School, and I'm happy with that choice. I've learned everything I need to know, and I think I'm ready. I've learned some algebra, poetry, grammar, mechanics, and some science like astronomy and biology. Thank you for this learning experience.